The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Friends in Recovery podcast, the podcast that is here to help you, a loved one, or a friend get started down the road to recovery. This is the Friends in Recovery podcast, brought to you by the Genesis House. Genesis House, providing a safe, nurturing environment to heal from addiction since 1992. Please be a friend and share our message with a friend on Podbean, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or YouTube. And now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey everybody, welcome to our Friends in Recovery podcast.com, and we're podcasting live from Studio 21 Podcast Café, the lovely town of Salem, New Hampshire, with our producer extraordinaire, Ed Sullivan.
And I really like the way Mike just adds .com at the end of everything.
That's why I was laughing.
It's automatic. They go right to our website.
Yeah.
So
it's like Ed with his satellite.
Yeah, that's right.
I am the podfather, so basically what I say goes.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. I have no control over this show. It's all him.
And you are Jersey Ed.
I am Jersey Ed.
And you have something for us.
How you doing, Mike?
There?
I got some business for you.
Paperwork.
I always got paperwork, Mike. God, I'm the paperless work kind of guy. So of course, we always like to thank Genesis House for setting this up for us. Without them, we can't. Can't
Absolutely.
do this. So, and if you enjoy the Friends in Recovery podcast. If you enjoy the Friends in Recovery podcast, join us for our Friends in Recovery community of support events. We hold monthly gatherings in Florida and New Jersey. Massachusetts is coming soon. Yep. We have to just discuss that with Bob.
Yeah, Bob Cox.
Yep. And check out our Facebook page for updates for all that. So it's our alumni plus friends. So we call it Friends in Recovery Community Support. We also have a special coming up event, an event coming up. God, I can't talk today. The Friends in Recovery will be participating in the Atlantic City Marathon in October 19th and 20th. And as we spoke on last week's show, you did commit. Did you change your mind since last week?
I'll be there.
All right, good.
I'll be there.
But he's not running, like he said. And there's going to be a 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathon. And I committed to the half a marathon.
It's going to be very interesting.
It's going to be fun. We're going to have fun down there. We're going to have a bunch of support. We're going to, maybe hang out and maybe do some Atlantic City stuff.
Yeah.
We'll figure out what, so whoever wants to come down, get a hold of, one of us on the show here. Also important is to follow our Facebook page, Friends in Recovery podcast. And
.com
and .com and updates. Subscribe on YouTube and any podcast catcher you can get us on, and also we're Facebook Live now, and that goes via satellite, doesn't it, Ed?
It always does. Via satellite.com.
That's right, via satellite.com. So make sure you subscribe and get on that goddamn satellite. All right.
That's right.
We're always looking for new stories, new featured professionals. Anybody who wants to get on our show, if you're in recovery, you have something to do with recovery, please reach out to us. Reach out to Melissa on our Facebook page. Also, Ed, you put the email addresses in every show that we can.
I do.
Yeah, so you can
email. Subscribe to the email list or probably any info.
There you go. That's it. Absolutely. So you can get any of that info, or Ed will give out a cell phone number and you can call him.
That's Mike that does that.
Oh, that's Mike. That's right. You're the satellite guy. So. And then, of course, our website is friendsinrecoverypodcast.com.
That's correct.
And you can email us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. Back to you in the newsroom, Mike.
Wow.
That's a lot. Oh,
my
God.
Wow.
I'm tired.
All that on one page?
It's half the show.
We have a special guest today, and she's in Sweden. I wonder what time it is over there in
We
Sweden.
can ask her when she comes on.
All right. And her name is Janique Svedberg. I believe I'm pronouncing it properly. And Janique was born in Sweden. She moved to New York City at the age of 16 to follow her rock star love interest.
Oh, we're going to have fun with that
dying to find out who, probably Mick Jagger, maybe.
Yeah.
And soon became a singer and dancer for Kid Creole and the Coconuts. And I haven't seen them, but I'm sure that's some pretty good music, probably calypso.
We'll find out.
Yep. And
I don't know. She doesn't look like a calypso girl, though.
No, she's a beautiful woman, that's for sure. She's a motivational speaker. Janique is a motivational speaker, and she's also the author of of a book called Blood, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, and it's available for purchase in Swedish language version via her website. And her website is, if you want me to give it out, www.Janique, Janique, and Svedberg, Svedberg.com. And we'll give that again before the show's over. And she's a founder of Road to Recovery Training Program, founder of Sobriety Academy, a school that educates certified interventionists and certified recovery coaches and sober companions, partner in sober services. Janique is certified by Oasis, yes. Right, and New York State Office of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse Services in order to educate and certify people who in Europe want to become a recovery coach and sober companion in Europe. And after all that, it's my pleasure to introduce Janique Svedberg. I hope we're saying your name right. Are we close? All right.
Wow, that took a lot out of us. You would have to run the show from here.
Let's just go home and sleep.
So what time is it in Sweden right now? What time is it?
It's 9:30 p.m.
9:30 p.m.
Wow. I'd be sleeping.
I just came from my AA meeting.
Oh, you did?
So you're a friend of Bill's.
Friend of Bill W.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Oh,
good,
yeah.
good.
You're a busy lady. We have 3 more pages of things you do.
Yeah.
And,
I do a lot.
you do.
Well, listen, forget about everything else on here. Who's the rock star love interest? I mean, come on. I mean, let's be serious.
Jovi, who was it?
Make one up at least for the viewers, all right?
I'll tell you a really great story. So I'm 16 years old. I have a family, mom and dad. They're absolutely crazy. They're totally like hippies, and both of them were therapists, but they were like dancing feelings and have, paintings as feelings. And it was just really an odd kind of way of growing up. We didn't speak, we danced. So I became a dancer, of course, and I moved away from home when I was 15 years old, and I met this amazing good-looking guy, right? So I'm in a disco, which, now you know kind of how old I am. So I'm in a disco, and the guy is standing right across from me, and he points at me like that, and he goes, like that. And I swear to God, in slow motion, everything just and I was like, oh my God. And I thought this guy was from Stockholm, right? Which is the capital here in Sweden.
Sure.
Okay.
So think it like that. All right. So this is the picture, right? He's dark skinned, which we didn't have in Sweden back then. We had one guy.
And he was all taken up.
He was token. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was busy.
Yeah. So this guy had dark skin. He had blonde mohawk, really long blonde mohawk. He was in the 80s. He had a jacket on with shoulder pads out to here.
Oh yeah.
It was so cool, right? And so I get over there, and I'm in love. I'm just like, this is the guy for me.
Turning me on, just listening.
And I'm thinking I'm going to, Stockholm, because it must be. But he wasn't. He was from New York, and he was touring with this like tiny band called like Bruce Spring something.
Oh, jeez.
I had no freaking clue. Like, I love Donny Osmond.
He didn't have a mohawk, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So I'm like, so he asks me, he's like, hey, honey, do you want to go on tour with me? And I was like, yes. Having a hippie family, they were just like, yeah, go, have fun.
Go dance.
Throw caution to the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
so
16,
I went on
go.
tour with Springsteen. I had no clue.
Oh my God.
Wow. You met Bruce.
And I look out it's like 60,000 people. I was like, oh, I think this guy is really big.
So it wasn't Bruce, though.
Was it?
No, it was in 1984, 85 or so. Bruce Springsteen did like his own like thing, not with the E Street Band.
Yeah.
So this guy, which I will not tell the name.
That's okay.
You Google him if you like.
Yeah.
He was doing the bass and the guitar and stuff like that on that particular tour.
Well, that was Born to Run era, wasn't it? Or
yes.
It was Born to Run because that's when I grew up in that era, and that's when I first started liking Springsteen. So
Born
right.
to Run was
And
70s.
I had no clue. I was like,
not Born to Run.
Born in the USA.
Born in the USA.
Yeah.
Yes, what's wrong with us?
We're all old, but you're the best looking one out of us all.
Well, you are. I'm not.
Oh,
That's
God.
a great story. That's awesome.
Wow. So I'm guessing you didn't go to church and you didn't kneel and pray every day when you're on the road with Springsteen. I'm guessing that's where some of your AA came from.
No, actually not. I was only with that group, or I wasn't even with them really. I was just like, for 1 week.
Oh, wow.
And then this guy, he came back home to Sweden. He's like, "Hey, honey, I'm done with the road. Can I move in?" And I was like, "Okay."
Jesus.
And so I was a ballerina, so I had a contract with the theater there.
Wow.
So I danced out my contract, and then I moved to New York, and I became a coconut. I wanted to be a cat on Broadway.
Right? Cats was big then. Yeah.
Right? And,
sure.
ABBA, they made music. And so I wanted to be a cat. I was a great dancer, right? So I did an audition for another band just to feel how it is to do an audition. And I got the job.
Wow.
So I became a coconut instead of a cat.
So who is? I know I heard them before. I know they're
huge.
They're big they were big in the 80s, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
We were huge.
Yeah.
You would listen to some of the music, you'd be like, "Oh my God," we were huge.
Well, so I'm guessing now the addiction is probably going to start taking over at that point when you get involved with something like that. Then.
Yeah, sort of. It kind of started. It tickled the bone.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Well, give us some insight on that, and maybe how you kind of got to where you needed treatment or you needed help and you knew there was something going on. Or we could just talk about Bruce Springsteen and King Creole and the Coconuts all day, and that's okay with me.
I prefer not. No, I had a pretty cool life.
That is cool.
I learned, my mom told me never to say no. Don't ever say no. Always say yes, because if you don't like it, you can say no later, right? So while I was touring with Kid Creole and the Coconuts, this guy, I opened also a restaurant, but that's just a sidekick thing.
Wow.
So while I was in the restaurant, not touring, this guy came in and he's like, "Do you want to open up an art gallery with me?" And I can't say no, so I said yes. I don't know anything about art, but we became huge. We did like this giant gallery on Broome Street.
Wow.
In New York City. Yeah, the time is always now. And we did that for 25 years. And we also did it in China because someone asked us and we said yes. And it was absolutely ridiculous to do. But what happened was this. I was really codependent on men, right? And this guy had an aura and just like, he was just so big, just big aura. Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to do was I wanted him to marry me. So I could be like Mrs. and his name, right? I could really just disappear.
Yeah.
Right? So he did. He asked me to marry me. And I was so happy. A month before we were going to get married, he intercomed me. We had a huge house on 92nd Street. He intercomed me and said, "Honey, could you come to my office?"
Oh, jeez.
And the office was a jungle because we made it jungle. And I came in and I said, honey, I don't think we're going to get married. And this was a huge marriage, like New York Post, we're going to be there and all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. And he said, I'm really not done fucking yet. So am I allowed to say that?
You are allowed to say that.
Please.
Yeah.
Ed was just telling me he's got the same problem.
Right? I don't have that problem. I'm not with it. So,
You definitely don't have a problem.
right?
Well, at least he was honest with you, right?
Yeah.
You got to respect that. Yeah.
But the thing is, I was really, really, really codependent. So I told him that was okay as long as he married me. And I actually had an emotional blackout, and I blacked out. And this is where that I got actually dependent on drugs. Was I woke up in a office on Park Avenue, 520 Park Avenue, Dr. Paula Eagle. And she gave me just like so many pills and meds. And she gave me one and she said, honey, you're really going to need this. And that was Oxycontin.
Oof.
Oh, boy.
And I went to heaven. And from that day, from that pill, from that moment, I was done.
Wow.
I was done. And I knew it. I mean, I was just like, I went to heaven. And I became an addict, a real, the thing is too, I was really rich. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of money. I had a giant gallery. I had people working for me. I had, it was just, so I had this life of
Privilege.
money and privilege and buying my meds, and a life of nothing, a hole in my heart.
Wow.
Just like, I looked like a little Barbie doll, just like, and I just said yes, and I swiped the credit card so people could have some art. It was so horrible.
Oh my God! So the drugs took you to being a nobody, basically, with a ton of money.
Yeah, and empty.
Yeah.
We got to hear the rest of the story. We'll be back real quick with. Janique. Sorry.
You just got it. You can call me Janique Q.
All right. Janique, we'll be right back.
All right.
Genesis House is a premier substance abuse and rehabilitation facility located in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. We have been providing the highest quality of addiction treatment since 1992 and are accredited by the Joint Commission. We offer a range of programs that include detox, residential treatment, dual diagnosis, a Christian track for people who want to incorporate their faith into treatment, a uniform services track, and we work with most major insurance carriers. Genesis House is led by a dedicated team of administrative and clinical professionals, and we stand on our commitment to excellence in recovery services. Contact us today to find out more about our program. Take the first step and call Genesis House at 800-737-0933 or visit us on the web at www.genesishouse.net. That's 800-737-0933 or www.genesishouse.net. Begin your journey to a long and successful recovery with Genesis House.
Hey, welcome back to Friends in Recovery podcast. And I am the Podfather with Jersey Ed.
Hi, everybody.
And we have Janique Svedberg on the other end. And she's in Sweden. It's about 10 p.m. over there. And you were telling us about...
Well, this has been a fun podcast,
It's been wonderful.
All we did was laugh. We didn't even talk.
Janique, you were telling us about your introduction to drugs and Oxycontin, which is, basically heroin. And you had quite a privileged life going at the time. And then what happened after this?
And then 9/11 happened.
9/11, yes.
Yeah. And that hit us really hard. It hit everybody really hard, but I have to just concentrate on my story, right?
Yes.
So I I worked down there because what happened is like in all of those years when I was having the gallery and stuff, I married someone, and I don't even remember that I did that, but I did. I woke up and like, wow, who are you? Like this my dad. And he's like, we've been married for 7 years. Like, wow. But he was really, really cool. I really loved him a lot. And he worked with guns, so he's like a guy that on movie sets, like Law and Order, or
Really?
all the guns on those sets.
Okay.
You have to by law in
New York,
United States.
Yep.
Yeah, he's that gun guy, but he also then works with the police, and he's a sharpshooter. So he works with the FBI and all that stuff. So when 9/11 happened, they called him in immediately. And so I was down there working on 9/12, right? And like finding things, and I'm not really going to get into it, but the whole entire business for us and business for Art Gallery just went down. It was just like we had to close up.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard. It was difficult because I was also numbed out. Like I couldn't cry. I couldn't. I didn't feel anything. Like I picked up like elbows or like a foot.
Oh.
And I didn't cry. I didn't feel. I was so numbed out on these oxys. That's all I thought about. I had these like, thing that you put your hair, a little
scrunchies.
Yeah.
Yep. Scrunchies.
Yeah,
yep.
That's right.
Yep.
And I filled it with Oxycontins. Filled it, and then I just popped it while I was working on 9/11, like down on the ground zero.
Wow.
It was horrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that kind of drove you. What drove you into your recovery? As far as
great question. So, leaving the gallery business, right? I knew I had to get pills, right? So I was like, how am I going to get pills now? Because now, everything's disappearing. My money is gone, So I decided to become a real estate broker, because if I was a real estate broker, I would have keys to all these apartments with pills, right? Yeah. So that's what I did. I robbed every single apartment in New York City on pills. That's what I did, and drinking wines and stuff from people's apartments. I mean, my 89 was really long. My 89 step. Yeah, but so I became a real estate broker, and I sold pills, and it just became worse and worse and worse. And the guy that I married, his name was Sam. He was a black and white thinker. When he said yes, that he meant it. When he said no, he meant it. Like, you could trust him, right? I'm not. Like, I'm a complete, So he found 200 pills in my pocketbook, right? That's nothing for me. I mean, it just always had that.
God.
And he put them on the table and took his ring off, and he put the ring on the table and he said, you decide. What do you want? Me or the pills? And I said, the pills. I mean, how could I not? I'm a complete addict.
You're an addict, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can't choose. Like, the pills choose for me. So what happened was that he threw me out. I became homeless. He closed the bank account for me. He locked the door on the house, and he divorced me.
Wow.
He found the guy, came with the divorce papers, and I became homeless, and I slept on, wherever you can sleep. It was absolutely horrific.
So you went from riches to rags all within a couple of years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. No, from months.
Wow.
And when he put that ring, I left with what I had on my body.
Wow. And it was due to, and basically it was due to the drugs, your use. I mean, obviously the fallout of 9/11 wasn't good, but the drugs kind of pushed you aside. You chose the drugs over your husband.
That's right.
So now
I choose the drugs over everything.
Everything. Yes,
right,
absolutely,
Everything.
absolutely.
Not just my husband, you know, everything.
Yeah. But now into your recovery, you're doing a lot. I mean, you're full of energy. I'm going to be exhausted by the time this podcast is over, and I spoke 3 fucking words. So, but you're full of energy and you're doing a lot. It seems like you're giving back and you're helping those people who.
You know what happened? Sam, he found me after a couple of weeks. He found me on the street and he said, "Are you done?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm done." And he got me to rehab, and I stayed in rehab for 1.5 years.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave. Like I was so messed up. You know, I didn't have a belief. I couldn't say the word God. You know, and I felt like I was like so
broken.
Yeah,
basically.
Like ego, you know what I mean? Like I came to the treatment center and I told the therapist like who I was. Like, you know, I mean, like I am a really, really important person.
Sure you are.
I'm a coconut. Right?
You are definitely a coconut.
That's good.
I love this lady.
And I told him like what kind of food I eat, and the cleaning lady should, you know, do this in my room. And so he looked at me and he said, "You know, unbelievable story. You are so special. But how is that working out for you?" And that hurt.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it was things like that. It was things like those kind of words that really good people told me. I didn't believe in God. This is a really good story, so I'm going to tell it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I didn't believe in God because of my mom. My mom killed herself when I was 11 years old, and I thought I killed her because with words, I didn't use words. I danced when I was a little girl. So one time I went into the sauna. Every house in Sweden has a sauna. So we went into the sauna and I said, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I hate you, I love you." And I pointed at her when I said, "I hate you." That night she killed herself.
Oof.
For me, you know, my little 11-year-old brain, you know, it couldn't take it. I really thought that words, I could kill people, right? So while I was touring with the Coconuts, I had read theology because I wanted to tell you guys that God didn't exist. And I wanted to say it with words that were sophisticated. So I went into a therapist's office and I told her about God, and God doesn't exist. And she said this to me: "How does it feel to be so angry at something that doesn't exist?"
Very good.
Yeah.
And that opened the door to sobriety, to God, to, you know, it's like I had 30 years of sitting, you know, and like reading and hating this thing. That's a lot of energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of energy. And I thought, oh my God, it was a she for me, because that's just, she really exists.
Yeah.
And she's super cool.
Yeah.
She's actually Norwegian, which is kind of cool.
It's the God of your understanding.
It's the goddess of my understanding.
That's right. That's right. So now that you're in recovery and you're doing what you have to do, what's going on? How are you helping others? I mean, let's fast forward to today. What are you doing to help others? Because believe me, I'll let this show go on for 3 days to listen to your story. This is wonderful, but we only have a little time left here. But how are you helping others?
We're just gonna skip like that. I've been one of the New York housewives, and we're just gonna skip all of that stuff, and we're gonna get into me coming back to Sweden and understanding that here in Sweden we are about 40 years behind what we are in America, and we don't have anything, even called interventions, recovery coaches, sober companion, the bridge back to life. Call it whatever you want, buddy, whatever you want. What I wanted to do when I get back to Europe, I said, wow, my God, I need to educate, right? So I went back to New York. I got New York State Oasis, as you saw in that, and I got trained as a trainer. I asked them if I could take the material and turn it into Swedish, and they said yes. I did that, and I had to take 2 days off from the material, because in America you had 1 day of what lawyers to use when you get sued. Right? We don't need that in Sweden. and the other day was like sexual harassment, which also you don't need in Sweden. So, because we just love sex. No.
So basically, you took the kind of the plan here in New York, or there in New York, and brought it over to Sweden and started implemented it into the society over there, basically.
Yes, and so now I've been to Russia, I've been to Italy, I've been to London, I've been to Spain, I've been to Sweden, really, really everywhere, and teaching a certification that has been approved by the EU.
Wow.
So not just New York State, it's also approved by the EU.
Okay.
So when you take my training, you can actually get insurance. Which is really good. Right? And the only thing now that I'm waiting for is I need to get this material, obviously, translated into every single language.
Oh my God. Wow.
Which I can't. I don't speak Spanish. I don't speak Portuguese. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I need yet some sort of franchise, or, I don't know how to do that part. I'm not a business person in that part.
Well, maybe somebody listening on here will be more than welcome to, more than happy to give you a call, and maybe they can kind of figure it out.
And we'll see what we can do on our end. Yeah. We do have some connections.
Absolutely.
That would be really wonderful. And also, why don't you have Genesis House in Sweden?
Well, I'm going to call Taylor after this and tell him that he needs to open up a Genesis House, and you can run it for us out there.
Absolutely. We need you guys.
I know,
Janique, you've been wonderful.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we'd love you to come back on the show.
We need you back on. Maybe if you're in the States, come up here and join us in the studio. We can have a special 2-hour show for you.
Oh, I love that.
We're going
to in between you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We will email you, and we'll try to keep in touch and see what we can do with this translations for all the help you're providing.
Yeah, keep up the good work. You're a wonderful person.
What a great guest. Thank you so much, Janique.
Thank you so much. And it would be a really wonderful gift if someone could,
We'll work on that.
Give them some money to translate it.
Avida Zain.
Avida Zain.
Stay sober, everybody. Bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.